Okay, so here we go. We have our girl. I'm gonna clear out the pose by just doing this.
Neighbor's
I
room
didn't.
edition
Um,
has a garage door on the one end.
yes.
Maybe
Okay.
they did that for permits.
Okay. Now he goes to 180. I'm sorry. What?
Oh.
This is my husband. He's barging into my tutorial because
Oh, I'm sorry.
he's
I'll leave you
special.
alone.
He's
I didn't know
special.
you didn't tell me. If you told me, leave me alone. I'll leave you alone. Talk to you later. Let me know when I can barge in.
He's not gonna barge in now. Okay. This is my life, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. If I actually knew how to turn this thing off and pause it, I would just pause it, but I'm really lame. Okay. Where is. Okay. Yes, I use Safari. Okay. So, he has this go to 60. Now, we're going to apply. Where does he apply his pose? I'm going to use a different pose because his is going a little too close to the body, and it's a pain in the bottom. Okay, where did he actually apply his pose? Here I am reading. Okay, well, apparently we just go ahead and we apply the pose at 60. So I'm going to use the same pose. I should put the dress on her. Right, I'm brilliant. Okay. Alright, we're going to put the dynamic dress on. And as before, since he suggests changing the parent so it's at her hip, so we're going to put it at her hip. Trella. Okay. Now we're going to put the mittens on. Left mitten, right mitten. Okay. Now we're going to go back and put the pose in, which, here we go. It's a very simple pose. Okay. Well, like I said, I'm using a pose that's got the arms away from the body so we don't have so much collision there. Okay, so then we go back to one. Go to the cloth room, and we're going to be doing pretty much the same thing, except we need to change that to 180. Okay, and wait a minute, I should probably see exactly how he's doing this. Okay, yeah, 180. Okay. I don't know if this is actually going to show up, but it's kind of cool if it does. Okay. Cloth self-collision, because that way it won't go through itself. Okay. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to clothify the No More Morphing fantasy dress. It's the dynamic fantasy dress now. And we're going to go to colliding against. Okay. Need to hit the ground, because otherwise it'll just sort of hang down into space and look kind of droopy and weird. Also, it won't catch any of that air underneath it to make it kind of, clothy. I'm making all kinds of hand movements. You can't see them, but I am making them, so that does count. Okay, now we click rows. We're going to go down and we're going to make sure that the mittens have also been selected. That's the right mitten and left mitten. Since they are parented to the body when they're loaded, they will select once, but I always check. Okay, we're going to ignore the head collision because we can. And okay. Now, we calculate the simulation. This is going to be a little bit more of a more complex deal. So, chill out and watch the dynamic draping. And see, because this is a fairly simple garment. It will not really take very long to get to its final to its final resting position. And another thing is you can actually, using the animation slide, again, I'm pointing, you can't see my finger. When I move my mouse, this turns off, I don't know why. Okay, you can actually move the slider to a frame that looks better to you. You don't have to leave it at the end frame. You can move it around. And but in this case, if you go before 60, of course, you'll just be sort of standing there, but because with more complicated dresses, higher poly dresses or outfits or whatever, you need it to go longer to lay the the best that it can against the body, and that can also go. Those also tend to go a lot slower than this. Because this is just the morphing fantasy dress, and it's just a dress, but you can. There are ways to make this poofy on the skirt again, but we're not doing that right now. We're just worrying about getting it on the body without it looking funky. I'm smoking, that's why I'm taking all these weird long pauses. Little baby. Got a kitty over here. Got my co-pilot. Okay. And let's see. We're getting there. We're getting there. What else? Yeah. Yeah, pretty much it's just, at this point, you're just waiting for it to finish its simulation. And, but like I said, with a simple dress like that, most of the cloths movement are pretty much, they're done pretty quickly. So it's just a matter of, you're just refining at this point. And that can help you get rid of jaggy things that shouldn't be there, or ripples that, bad ripples and things like that. But it also, is helping you to use these, it will help you to use these settings here. Honestly, Jim's description of what each of these here do is actually the first time I've ever heard anybody able to describe what each of them does. And this is even after reading the manual. They're like, well, we don't actually know what they do, man, but they're pretty cool. Okay, and here we are. So we come over here, and as you can see, it's hit the ground. It's I didn't actually need to use the footy things here because her feet have enough polys. If it doesn't have enough polys, the cloth is just going to go right through it. And since I put dynamics onto a lot of different characters, and not all of them are created equal. Some of them just don't have enough polys to hold up a dynamic piece of cloth. So what I usually do is this is the first time I've used Nerd's helpers. I just would make a sphere in primitive and just parent it on because I'm lazy. Yes, I know. Here I'm lazy. I'm actually making more work for myself. Okay, now I'm going to show you this because this is really easy to fix. As you can see, because it's a semi-transparent piece of cloth here. You can see it's like way up. It's like, what has she got a force field around? She's the invisible girl wearing somebody else's body wearing a dress. That was a really bad analogy. Pretend it was good. Okay, so this doesn't matter like with a t-shirt because you can't really see it, and a t-shirt's kind of thick anyway. But this is supposed to be this lovely chiffon stuff, and it is not supposed to be, an inch or two thick. So what we're going to do is easy peasy. I promise you it's totally easy. Okay, we go back to the cloth room. And what we're going to do is just going to start over. Actually, well, no, it won't do that because it won't. Okay, we're going to go to collide against again. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to look at these two dials here. And they're both at 1,000. This is the offset and the depth. and they do magic things that I don't really understand, except they lower the cloth to the skin. So you want to set them below 500. You don't want to go much lower than like 2 or 300, because it starts to um, it starts to make the simulation work too hard. In any case, cloth does sit on top of your skin. You don't want to kind of be, it's like those aren't clothes, those are tattoos. Okay, right. Yeah, pretend I'm witty. Just totally pretend. Okay, so, and that's all you really need to do. The static friction and the dynamic friction, they do stuff. I don't know what. Chip will tell us. But I usually don't mess with those. I do with the offset and depth, okay? And you'll see really quickly how that changes stuff. You'll see the whole gravity comes into effect, and as you can see already, the dress is closer to the skin. And it looks like it might even be too close to the skin. You're seeing breakthrough. You're not actually. It's just how it's actually covered. It's vision things stuff. I don't know. Right, I'm brilliant. I should just sit here and smoke my cigarette and behave. Maybe I can play like yakety sax or something. Okay, yeah. The creaking you hear is my chair because I don't actually sit still very well. I do a lot of moving around. But even the simulation isn't even to where her pose is, and you can already see that the cloth is behaving more in a manner that you had expect it to. The you can't I'm just leaving the fabric as it is. I'm not changing anything. This When you just go into the cloth simulation, you don't touch any of these, you're going to get a result pretty similar to just plain cotton material. And that's fine for right now. If I was making this out to be velvet, I would want to change the dampening, the density, and things like that. Actually, Phil Cook has a neat little Python script. It still works in this one. It still works in 2014. That will change those settings to duplicate the fabrics that he has. He has a set of fabrics. And it's really super easy to use, and it's fun to play with because just watch, just taking a clothified piece of, just a clothified square plane and draping it over a chair, just seeing how the differences in those settings affects the simulation is a lot of fun because sometimes it's like really unexpected, and other times it's like, oh, okay, I can use that. It's like, oh, that drapes so beautifully. That looks like lovely velvet or whatever. So it's actually, if you go over and get, just download it as a Python, it's real easy to use. You basically, you load your simulation like we're doing here, and then you go to the material room, which is where the Python is located. You open it up and you double click on what cloth setting you want. It will ask you the name of your sim. You write sim /2, and then it does everything else. It's all lovely and auto magic. Okay, and here we go. So let's go back to the pose room. And as you can see, it's now much closer to her skin. That's a lot more acceptable. Okay. And from here, obviously, you just go ahead and put the material onto the dress, put hair on the rose, put your scenery in, and you're done. And that's really all there is to it. Either this way is going to teach you a lot about using the various pieces of the cloth room to your best advantage, the way I showed you in the first place. That's just going to get the clothes onto your character. And so, sometimes that's all you want. Okay. Now I turn this off, and I think I know how to do this. Okay. I hope I've actually recorded it this time. I've tried this 3 times. Okay.